we won some games in 2019, but we didn't, but we didn't win a Big Ten championship or beat Ohio State. And I think, when I think of those who say we'll be champions, I just think of how far, this program has come in the last 2 years, especially following last season, what a disappointment that was. And, it feels good that, we can say that phrase with confidence now.
All right, welcome in on this Monday. Dennis Fithian here on Michigan Football Live.
When I step on the scene.
It's great to be with you. The Maize and Blue Review. We're here weekdays at 1 o'clock. We're a part of Rivals.com, talking about the latest in Michigan sports. And that right there is Michigan quarterback Cade McNamara. And he likes to use that phrase, those who stay will be champions. And I'm sure that they have used that phrase quite often. This offseason. Hadn't been able to use it in a few years. They certainly can use it now, and that is good for the Maize and Blue. Speaking of Cade McNamara, we're going to be talking about him today, and just if Michigan, with number 12 at the helm, can do it again. We know they did it last year. Work through a little bit of that, what we liked, what we didn't like, the upside, the best throws. We'll watch some of those concerns, negatives, positives. We'll just throw it out there, see where you're at with it. When I say we'll see where you're at, if you are out there watching this live, you can always comment in. And as the comments come in, I like to read those off. If you're watching this or listening to it after the fact, you always know at 1 o'clock if you want to get in, get your thoughts in real time, you can do that. You can also leave me a message in a variety of places. Twitter's very easy. The direct message option is open on my Twitter page, and you can see it right here at Dennis Fithian. So we've got that going, and we are going to talk about Cade McNamara today. Hope you're having a great one. Before we go any further, let's tell you about our new sponsor that we brought in last week. Hey, folks, Dennis Fithian in support for the Maize and Blue Review is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join me and over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TMBR at manscaped.com. And if you've ever heard the term and someone asks if the curtains match the rug, well, in this broadcaster's case, I can tell you, yes, they do. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code TMBR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Don't forget, use the code TMBR. Unlock your confidence, and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. That's right. All right, so let's get in and talk a little bit about Cade McNamara. And to talk about Cade McNamara, you think about the first time that you saw him and that you were impressed, maybe not impressed. And, that goes back to the previous year, the pandemic season, when he went in the Rutgers game for Joe Milton, and he led Michigan on a big time comeback, and U of M won that game. 4 or 5 touchdowns. He was the man. The only thing you could say, as I guess you'd say it as a negative, you'd say, well, it was against Rutgers, but it was on the road against a Big Ten team, and it's not like that year that Michigan was sitting back, taking anybody for granted, considering they lost all their games with the exception of that one and the opener at Minnesota. So Cade showed up and was really showed his guts, showed the ability to spread the ball around, came in a tough spot, and showed that he's got something, whatever you want to put, and label it as moxie or moxie, not a bad one when you're thinking about when you saw McNamara in that first game. Now, against Rutgers. Last year, when you look overall at his numbers, talking about Cade, 327 attempts, that's pretty low. Very good completion percentage at 64%. the 2,576 yards. He had a touchdown to interception ratio of 15-6. Now, he didn't throw the ball a whole lot, and that's the thing. You go back and just think about the Western game. There were a lot of big plays, and he was fine there. But against Washington, that was a total ground and pound. And if Michigan did not have success early on in the second half, there already was a little bit of say groaning, but there's a little bit of moaning to go along with it, saying, "Look, Michigan just can't go out there and run the ball every single down." Even if they had the success that they had against Washington. Well, the following week, they had a big play, but they scored touchdowns on their first 9 drives, and 8 of them were rushing TDs. And then in the Rutgers game in the second half, that was the ugliest game of the year for Michigan in the second half, and for Cade. Even though the year before at Rutgers, his coming out party, he was pretty good. He wasn't in the second half. You may want to chalk it up to him getting his bell rung late in the first half against Rutgers, but I don't know. They weren't lucky to win, but that one was that was a close game that they had to tough out and make some plays there at the end. Going back to that homecoming game that Michigan won against Rutgers when they were up 20-3 at the half, and ended up hanging on for a 20-13 victory over the Scarlet Knights. But you look at some of the other numbers for Cade, and completion percentage. I mentioned that 64% is pretty good. 3 guys that are coming back had better completion percentages in the Big Ten. Talia Tagovailoa at Maryland, 69%. How about Aiden O'Connell from Purdue? 71.8% completion percentage. And old CJ Stroud, an amazing 71.9% completion percentage as a QB. Completion percentages have gone way up. Now you think about the short passing game, but when you're over certainly 65%, you are into some elite company. You look at those TD to interception ratios for some of the better QBs that are returning in the Big Ten. Cade, that 15-6. Purdue's on the schedule, 28-8 for Clifford, Tagovailoa, and O'Connell showing up on this page as well. Peyton Thorne, 27 TDs, 10 picks. And there's Stroud again. 44 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and all of those wide receivers for Ohio State. Cade McNamara, though, you think about what happened last year, Michigan, in their identity, was running the football. It was not, you always say, the quarterback's the most important player. He's worth more than, 4 or 5. If you look at the salary cap and the numbers that the quarterbacks are getting, the franchise tag numbers of, the quarterback, he's worth his weight in gold. And yet Michigan, it was a throwback. It was different. It was not, we're going to rely on our quarterback for everything. It was, we are going to rely on the running game. And that was apparent. They had the big plays mentioned early on against Western, but it was pretty obvious against Washington. 56 carries for 343 yards. 8 out of the 9 touchdowns they got in their third game were via the ground. You go to the Wisconsin game, they finally had a big play, and it was the one that we're going to talk about. We'll show you coming up later, the flea flicker to Cornelius Johnson. It was one of the big plays in the game. But just as you go on, the 1-2 punch of Haskins in Blake Corum all the way through. You have 19 for 119 yards and 2 scores. Northwestern, 23 for 110 and 2 for Haskins. Of course, Haskins had that hurdle against Nebraska, and Corum had the run where he did the corn on the cob thing in the Ohio State game. Look at the numbers for the Ohio State game for Michigan. We're talking about nearly 300 yards rushing and 5 scores there for Haskins. So, Michigan will want to have that same kind of identity this year. We have some feedback coming in. This, when I'm talking about the touchdowns, interception, and completion percentage, shall not be infringed, says easy to make 71% of your throws when you got wide open wide receivers. Yeah, hey, 71% is 71%. You got great wide receivers. You got great players all around you, whether you're great or not. Hey, I'm just pointing out the numbers here. Sure. You got first round talent all over the place running free out there. Yeah, throw it up. They'll go get it. You look at Michigan's wide receivers, not too shabby with what they're bringing. Actually, better than what they had last year. Everybody is back. You can, Dalen Baldwin, who did make some plays for Michigan, he's gone. But, Ronnie Bell, expected back, who was Michigan's go-to wide receiver heading into the year, and he got hurt against Western Michigan. Oh, as I look through and talk about Cade, I posted on the Den, on the Maize and Blue Review, what I thought was McNamara's best game. I selected Penn State. Worst game, I don't think there's any argument. It was Rutgers. Best throw, I put a couple. We'll show them. Kojo against Wisconsin. Andrell Anthony, the long touchdown against MSU. And then Roman Wilson, the first one against Penn State. I put worst throw, the interception with a minute to go at Michigan State. Michigan's one loss this year. For positives and negatives, in the positive category, I put McNamara low turnovers. Now, he didn't take a lot of sacks, so he now has that experience. He handles the quarterback competition well as you can expect. And now he has a 21 Big Ten championship, in his back pocket to make him feel pretty confident. And I think that helps when you're talking with the team, you've been there before, you had that experience. I think we can all agree on that. If there's a negative with McNamara, I put down the arm angle. He's had a few passes. I don't know, more than not, a couple more than maybe you'd want that are batted down at the line. And overall, I would like a quarterback to have, perfect posture and a rocket arm, and the ball, comes out and it just spins and it's, perfect. McNamara is not that. He's kind of got this, slingshot, and it kind of fires out of there. You go through it. I think of Phillip Rivers when he was at NC State. I remember him coming down. I was like, Phillip Rivers isn't going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. He's got this shot put type delivery. McNamara doesn't have that. They've worked with him a little bit on that. If you've listened to the different coaches on the offensive side of the ball, I think even Harbaugh has mentioned it, what they're working on when it comes down to that arm angle. So you want to put it as a negative, something you're like, not everything's positive. That is the one thing that I looked at. And the upside, and it's what I've been talking about here, he has not been the focal point of the offense. He certainly wasn't last year. And when you look at that Michigan schedule this year, starting out with Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn and Maryland at home, those are 4 extremely winnable games, manageable games. However, the quarterback, rotation ends up working out in those games. Michigan should be 4-0 getting into October 1st, going to Iowa. And they've got Cade McNamara then at that point where he certainly can make enough plays for Michigan to be in the top 5. Michigan's going to be in the top 10 to start the season. I would think that by the time they head to Iowa, that they would be 4-0. If they're not going to be in the top 5, they're knocking on the door. If they win the game at Iowa, I think they will be in the top 5. And they really have a chance to be there all year long with a chance to make the college football playoffs again. And sometimes it sounds like it's a dream situation. Certainly in some years past, when you're talking about Michigan making the college football playoff or winning the Big Ten or beating Ohio State. But, they did that. And, they've got a lot of firepower coming back. And do they have a legitimate shot? As we're sitting here talking on May the 16th, You know very well if Michigan goes 11-0 and they're marching down to Columbus on November 25th, that there'll be a lot of people that think that Michigan will be able to go down there in Ohio State and a championship type atmosphere game, one that could get them to the Big Ten championship game back to back. That they'd have a chance, pretty good, I don't know, puncher's chance. They get a pretty good chance, and you'll, as they pick up wins along the way and focus in on that game. No, it'll be a tough one. It'll be a tough one, and then the whole schedule game that we play, I think a real easy thing to say right now would be 10-2 is a very reasonable expectation for Michigan. It doesn't sound all that bad, except that 10-2 is likely not going to get you into that Big Ten championship game. It depends who you lose to, but probably not. So you're not going to get back to that college football playoff. Is 10-1 sound like, oh, that's kind of being kind of homerish? Maybe, but you're also talking about, could Michigan go to Iowa and win that game? Probably be at night. Yeah. Will they be favored in that game? Probably. Can they win it? Yeah. I mean, where else are they going to get tripped up? Well, Michigan State, maybe. At home. Penn State at home, maybe. Well, they want to say it's a legitimate chance. It's not crazy talk. It's not like in years past, the last decade where we were sitting around. I think a lot of people would start rolling their eyes, maybe myself included. Like, okay, here we go again. I don't think it's an eye roll situation to talk about Michigan going undefeated into Columbus, and Cade McNamara being a part of that. Here we are. So I mentioned those big time throws. Let's go to the film. This is the one that broke the seal for me, and this was the flea flicker at Wisconsin. Up to this point, you got Western, you had Washington, you had Northern Illinois, and then the escape game against Rutgers where they held on in the second half. They have to go to Wisconsin, who wasn't playing all that well, but you wondered if Michigan, they end up knocking out the Badgers quarterback. But this was Mertz, in the third quarter. But this was the play, and this is one of the best throws all year long. This flea flicker to Cornelius Johnson. Let's see here. You run it. There's Cade. Gets it back. He's got all day to throw the ball and puts it right on the money to Kojo for the touchdown. Now, the second one that I thought was his best throw was against Michigan State early in the game. Andrell Anthony, he shoots this one over the middle, puts it right on his money. It's right on the money. This is about as good as a throw deep in your own end that you can make. There's a lightning bolt. Boom. You got to put that one on the money. Those are kind of passes that could get picked off. You're in trouble. Anthony takes it the distance. 93 yards. Great throw. Great run after the catch, obviously, from Anthony. But pretty good. This is one of my favorites. It doesn't get talked about a lot, but this was against Penn State. I'll go to it here. And the first one to Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson caught a short touchdown pass. He also caught this particular one that if I'm going to look for a favorite, I'm going to put this one down, even though it wasn't a game-winning play or anything else. I just he sticks this ball right in there from the 20. McNamara, he's locked onto him, but he just, he sees the safety. He's got the matchup there. And let's just go back and watch that one again. I mean, this is a hell of a throw to get this one in here. Boom. Right in there. It looks easy when you're throwing the ball like that. That was a nice throw. And then it was pointed out on the Wolverine Den when I was making those 3 touchdowns that I like. Somebody mentioned the Ohio State game and the throw late in the first half to Cornelius Johnson. And this is another one. You have the time, you've got the running game, and he just puts this one right on the money to Kojo. Let's cue that one up. Here we go. Ohio State game. Fires it. Nice. Got all the time in the world. Just lays it out there for Kojo. And there it is. Touchdown. That put Michigan ahead 4-19. We've got this throw in the this is a bonus coverage, little one-handed by Schoonmaker to get it down to the half-yard line. But you forget maybe because everything was going so well in that Big Ten title game. McNamara was dealing. There's a nice little throw there. That's Schoonmaker again. No, that's all. That's all. Yeah, so there you are. And there are the throws that we're talking about right there with Cade. So I like the situation at quarterback. How can you not for U of M? A word about, like Maize and Blue fighting back and forth about, well, McCarthy, it's only going to be a matter of time. And, like this backbiting. And then you get Michigan fans who are stepping up like, we've got our quarterback. He won the Big Ten this year, and the arguing that goes back and forth. It's fine. I think it's fine. I think it's fine if you're a McNamara fan, you enjoyed the year, and you're like, look, it's his job to lose. He's going to be the starter. Stop all this with McCarthy. I get that side. I understand it. I also understand the side with McCarthy. And I guess I'm going to play the I've been around the block a few times card now. Here it is. Here's one thing in sports that is guaranteed for as long as you are alive, and you will know this, that the backup quarterback is the most popular player on any team. On any team that I've ever seen, the most popular quarterback is the backup quarterback. The fans always love him. Meanwhile, college football fans, and Michigan fans in particular, love recruiting. They always are wanting to know, the Michigan's in on a 5-star. Could they possibly? Well, J.J. McCarthy is a 5-star. He is exactly what recruiting fans dream of. The most important position, a 5-star in spades, and a commitment, and Maize and Blue through and through, and you got one. What do you expect fans to say? And especially when you've seen, I'd say, tantalizing from McCarthy, the first game where he had the throwback Patrick Mahomes thing, to Dalen Baldwin, who took it down. I mean, that was an unbelievable throw. Not every throw that he made was unbelievable. You saw some of that inexperience. You saw that he needs to deliver at times more touch on the ball, but the rocket ability, the escapability. We did see that from JJ McCarthy. It was interesting because I was asking, I put all of my points up there about best throw, best game, worst throw, all those sort of things. And in a Den poster was making the point that he thought Michigan State may have been McNamara's best game. And you can make the case for that. He made a lot of throws and a couple touchdown throws. And here's the thing with McCarthy. They ended up losing that game. JJ McCarthy had 12 snaps. You remember he was in on the one where there was a fumble, whether you want to say, it was more on the running back or the quarterback. I look at it as a shared responsibility there. And, ultimately he did have the ball and it was a turnover. And on that series before, when Michigan was down in the red zone, I would have liked to have seen, Cade McNamara. He was a little bit too, he was cautious with his throws. And then he got taken out on one of them where, his margin of error, I would have liked to have seen if he could have, pitched another one in there to see if he'd have been able to make the throw. And McCarthy ended up, I think, fumbling it and recovering it on his own and ended up, being able to take it out of bounds for a 1-yard loss. The point in that is that you can make the case it might have been the Michigan State game and a loss. And yet 12 of those snaps, very important snaps. McCarthy did throw a touchdown, but you don't know what would have happened if Cade, and there was a report that he could have been down in the medical tent. He was banged up. They needed McCarthy. All that stuff could be true. I'm not really here to argue that. My point is that there were some valuable snaps that were taken away, and potentially he could have been out there. And if it wasn't for the rotation, maybe Michigan could have won that game. Certainly, if we say make the case, you make the case for anything when there's 12 snaps and you did have a fumble in there. And and you don't know the outcome, and it's all hypothetical. But here's the thing that I think about, heading into this year. Michigan's got a lot of firepower on offense, and their identity that led them to the spot that they were last year. While Hassan Haskins, and there's a few other players that are not going to be there in the offense, the identity and the focal point will remain the same for Michigan. I expect this team to be a ground and pound and throw the ball when you want or when necessary, obviously, but I think it's going to be a lot of the offense, even though you have a new offensive coordinator. Gone is Josh Gaddis. In is Matt Weiss. And, Sharon Moore, co-offensive coordinator, however they work together to come up with these game plans. But I'm expecting it to be a lot like last year. Let's get back to some more feedback here. People need to trust the coaches. This is coming in from SNBI. People need to trust the coaches. They are going to start the best quarterback. They see a lot more than we do. I do feel that JJ will be the future, and he will start when the coaches feel he's ready. Yeah, ultimately, that's not bad advice. The part about trusting the coaches, we're fans, we're media. If we all just sit back and say, let's just trust the coaches, ultimately, that's not bad advice, but you can go back to the start of the Harbaugh regime, and you could question whether he, even though we weren't in practice, even though we didn't know 99% of what Harbaugh and company knew, you can make the case that 3 out of his first 4 or 4 out of his first 5 decisions when it came down to quarterbacks, he botched. Now, maybe botch is a strong word. I think about, playing O'Korn. I think about playing O'Korn against Michigan State at home when it was raining. There were a few situations where I think, hey, well, why not play that freshman on the road against Wisconsin? Oh my God, you would never do that. You would never play a freshman on the road at Wisconsin. You're asking for, why would you ever suggest doing that? Well, that was the same year that Nick Saban played a true freshman to start the second half of the championship game. That was the same year that Dabo Swinney was starting a true freshman over a senior quarterback. And, they pushed into the new age. And you can make the case that they made the wrong mistake when it came down to Milton. They could have gone with McCaffrey. Oh, they could have gone with McNamara. They might have, picked the third best out of the bunch there. But we're going to all do that. We're going to second guess the QBs. And like I say, I'm fine with it. You should. And you just know how it goes, that the backup quarterback is a 5-star, and it's going to happen. And if you're old enough to be around here, this goes back even further than Brady and Henson. But that one gets talked about for good reason quite a bit as well. And for me, I think I do look to when Harbaugh was with the Niners, and he had Alex Smith, and they had drafted Kaepernick. They did not put Kaepernick out there right away. But as soon as Alex Smith got hurt, he had a concussion, they put the rookie and Kaepernick out there, and Alex Smith was okay to come back in a couple of weeks, and he never got back out there. They went to Kaepernick. And it doesn't mean that Cade can't throw one bad pass and, they're going to hook him and they're going to put McCarthy out there. But let's be real. Michigan has 3, I'll say 4 games. I'll include the Maryland home game. Michigan has 4 games where they can do a variety of different things. Start one, sit one, start the second quarter, give him, full range, whatever it is. And we'll know who should be the starting quarterback with the bulk of the QB snaps at Iowa. I don't think they should get into a true rotation, or even I didn't really like how it was playing out last year. I know, like some like it. Some could say this is new college football, and it did work for him last year. So Harbaugh does ultimately have that on his side, how he was playing the QBs. But I would like to decide on one by October the 1st and then go with him. And then, there's a chance that you can always go back to the other one. CJ wants to talk a little bit. CJ Wolverine. O'Korn was only there because of injuries. Well, there were injuries, but you also had freshmen on the roster that Michigan could have gone with. True freshmen. And you can say, well, they were only true freshmen. They weren't ready to go. And I'll say, well, in other big time programs, they were put out there and they produced and they won championships. So I'll second guess that one. And I know, O'Korn had a track record and everything else, but I'll second guess that one. We can always debate that one and look at the QBs that were on the roster, but I think Harbaugh made the wrong decisions when it came down to the O'Korn start against Ohio State at home, the O'Korn start against Michigan State. And he also had a chance to play one of those freshmen on the road at Wisconsin as well. I didn't like any of those decisions there. But, hey, like I said, I'm all right with what anybody says. If they just want to go with the coach and say, hey, look, the coach knows everything. You're just watching the game. What are you talking about? That's fair criticism of me. All right. Can we do an entire week on Cade McNamara? Should I bring other people on and say, I've just been giving my opinion of the QB? Ask other people like, hey, what do they think when it comes down to Cade McNamara? Maybe we'll continue with this theme. Whatever else is going on with Michigan, we will talk about. That's what we do here on the Maize and Blue Review. And for that, I want to remind you to join us at the Maize and Blue Review today. Go to michigan.rivals.com. Father's Day coming up. Great Father's Day gift. Any Michigan fan in your life, it makes for a great birthday gift. But you think if you're like, I don't know what to get my dad, maybe I'll go with another maize and blue tie. Not bad. I'll give another maize shirt. I'll give another, set of golf balls. All fine choices. But how about you deliver the Maize and Blue Review? And your dad's like, whoa, all Michigan talk all the time at michiganrivals.com? What a great gift. Thanks so much, son. Also, don't forget, subscribe on YouTube. I've added another video there on TikTok, so you can check that out. All of that stuff available for you. So check it out and leave reviews. If you're someone that just listens on the podcast, leave a review out there so I can track you and say thanks. And it helps us, bump to the front of the line in a lot of different things when it comes to reviews and, getting, put up to the top of the line. So all that stuff helps if you're somebody that listens. If you take the time to leave a review or whatever else, it's appreciated. All right. I want everybody to have a great day. I got the studio window open here over the weekend. I'm not going to complain about the heat, because, I handled it. We got here. Touchdown. Oh, that was the Donovan Edwards touchdown. Let's watch that one. Let's watch this Donovan Edwards touchdown in the Big Ten championship game. This wasn't too bad. This is where J.J. McCarthy catches up to Corum. But I think here we go. We're going to get the TD. Oh, yeah. There it is. I want more of those kind of plays. That was a play. That's one of the great plays in Michigan history. Those two guys, Donovan Edwards. But how about play Donovan Edwards at quarterback? That kid could throw the ball. Roman Wilson, underrated wide receiver. Comes up big, makes big plays in games. So there you go. Smash that like button. There you go, bud. All right. Again, have a great day. Thanks for watching this broadcast today, and I'll talk with you tomorrow.